Today I'll be presenting an instructional plan for Chapter 3 in our health book titled Stress Management. Okay, the first thing we're going to do in presenting this chapter to the students is we're going to start off the class with an anticipatory activity. The one I chose is called Potholes. You will, in a large open space, make a large rectangle with masking tape. And then you'll place 10 sheets of paper in random places inside the rectangle. The rectangle is representative of the road, and the papers are potholes in the road. Then you'll ask for a student to volunteer and be blindfolded, and then you'll ask for another student to volunteer to be the guide. The rest of the students in the class can break up into two groups on either side of this rectangle. One side will be instructed to say positive things, encouraging things, as the student makes their way around these pieces of paper, and the other group will be instructed to say discouraging things. Once the student makes their way across the rectangle, then we'll open up the discussion and ask, how do you think the student felt that was blindfolded? How do you think it felt to be the guide? Talk about the papers representing stressors in our life, and the rectangle represents our life. And this will be able to be a point of reference that everyone can relate to, that everyone has stress in their life. And then we're going to begin the chapter talking about how do we manage it. The first way that we will do that is we'll take the students through the text structures within the chapter. Point out the title, the table of contents, captions under pictures, headings, ask questions about each of these text structures. One text structure in particular, noting the bold and italicized words, is one way of being able to point out a text structure that would provide meanings of those words. And this is an example of teaching them about text structures and the importance of them. Okay. The next topic to address is the vocabulary in the chapter. Here are 6 terms pulled from the chapter that we will have the students learn. Here's an example of using the contextual analysis strategy to teach the vocabulary words to our students. I listed the term. You'll list the definition. You'll give a synonym for it, an antonym for it. Have them write an example in a sentence. And then also with the direct meaning of it. And then also use a sentence that infers the meaning of the word. Okay. After each section or each lesson in this chapter, there's an opportunity for students to work with partners or in groups and go back and revisit the text and discuss using the question-answer relationship strategy. Initially, what we'll do after each section is we're going to ask the students what they learned from reading that particular section, and we'll open that up for class discussion. Then I'd recommend doing the partner exercises below. I've listed the first 3 lessons here. Such as after reading lesson 1, have the students answer questions with a partner. What is stress and how is stress related to stressors? Give an example of each kind of stress and distinguish between distress and positive stress. By using the question-answer relationship strategies such as right there and think and search methods, this is going to help the students make a connection with the material being presented. The next thing that we will address is the reading comprehension piece of the chapter. And there will be 4 different strategies that we will use. We will use the preview strategy with students before reading the text. Here you introduce the topic and have the students share any prior knowledge about it. They can write down anything they know about it. They can pair up and share their responses with people. They can go through and skim the passages and make predictions about what's going to be discussed. These are their best ideas, and they will share them in discussion in class. Then, once we have done the preview strategy, then while we're during the reading of it, The next reading comprehension strategy we will use is called the click and clunk strategy. The words that click are basically words that students know immediately. The clunk are those words that are keeping them from really understanding the passage and what they're reading. Those are words that they don't understand the meaning. And the methodology of helping them using this click and clunk strategy is to reread the sentence as though the clunk was a blank space and try to guess another word that might be appropriate in place of the clunk. There's a good chance that the clunk is a synonym. Or you can reread the sentence with the clunk and the sentence before or after it and look for clues that indicate the meaning of it. There's a few others listed here, but this is one strategy we will use during reading. The other strategy will be the get the gist strategy. This helps identify the main idea and restates the main idea in a few words, 10 words or less. So what you're going to do is you're going to explain how to restate the most important part of a section. And then you're going to assign a passage to a student to read. They're going to have to identify the most important idea in it by using the steps of figuring out who in this paragraph, either the person, place, or thing, is the paragraph mostly about. Identify which person, place, or thing it's being discussed. Identify what is being said. And then after you've identified those and gone through that process, then you restate the paragraph in a sentence containing 10 words or fewer. In this strategy, they're asked to dissect the parts, okay? And by asking these questions, that helps unlock the meaning of the words in the text. Okay, lastly, the strategy that we're going to use for reading comprehension after we're done reading is called the wrap-up, okay? And this tests the students' understanding of the material they read. Here listed is a log. It's an example of a log, okay, that students could use after we have them pretty much using these strategies and feeling comfortable and confident with them. First explaining the strategy as we're going through the text with them, then modeling it, and then having them repeat it. And once they've gotten to a point where you feel like maybe they've kind of mastered it, then this is something that we could provide to them that would give them a checklist to be able to use those strategies before, during, and after. Okay, when we are going to assign them a writing, the genre of writing that I have for the students working is expository. That's the one I chose. This was chosen given all the factual information presented in the chapter. It seemed like the most appropriate. The writing prompt that I have example of is explain the concept of reframing a stressor and describe 3 ways to manage distress and provide an example. Graphic organizers are a very helpful way to be able to create a plan for writing about the topic and to help them step by step list the ideas in written form. To the left here is an example of a graphic organizer that I suggest we use, which is to write an expository essay. On the left is the graphic organizer, and on the right, what I did was I gave you an example of answering that particular writing prompt, listing my examples, explaining the main idea of what we're talking about. I have an intro, I have a body, and I have a conclusion. I listed the ideas, I gave some details. Okay. Here's a checklist for writing the essay. Once you have them using the graphic organizer, being able to put together a draft, then you can use this checklist when you want to help them revise the draft writing. This is a concise way to provide feedback and direction to the students. Basically going through the items that you're looking for, and it's either a yes or no, And you can list on in the checklist what other editing they should be doing. Okay, lastly, these are the sources that I used to put this presentation together today. So I hope that this is an informational presentation that will give you some guidance in instructing the students in this chapter. Thank you.